And we are back, and we just finished 1949's classic White Heat, rated approved with a runtime of 1 hour and 54 minutes. This is a film directed by Raoul Walsh with writing credits to Ivan Goff, Ben Roberts, and Virginia Kellogg. This tells the story of Cody Jarret, excellently played by James Cagney. Iconic. Yeah. I mean, all other gangsters wanted to be him. It's kind of funny. So we actually watched this on the Turner app. Sadly, it's going to go away tomorrow. We probably won't post this for a couple of days. So by the time this posts, it will no longer be on the Turner app. But I encourage people to watch this film, especially if they haven't. I think that we're going to pair this with Some Like It Hot, and I think the theme there was kind of criminal underground undertones. And Cody is the head of this crime family. I guess it's him and his mother, but
it's like a gang.
It's a gang, yeah. Correct. But it's more of a dramatic piece to me. I feel like it's kind of the inner workings of this human being that's kind of alone in the world. And I'm not trying to be sympathetic, although I am a lot for Cody, but he is a horrible monster. But there are moments within the film, within the storytelling, where you get to see another side of Cody. And by the end of it, I can't speak for everyone, but I was kind of sad that what happened, but it felt like that was the only conclusion.
I understand what you're saying. That they do a good job. They do a good job giving Cody a range.
Yeah.
Like he definitely is. He is definitely a complex
character
villain.
Yeah. Yeah.
And he is a villain. There is nothing. There's going to be no redemption for Cody Jarret. No. He is just a vicious, murdering thief.
Yeah.
They demonstrate that very well in the beginning when they hold up that train, and the two drivers of the train, they're totally innocent. The only thing is, one of Cody's henchmen call him by name, and Cody's like, "Why don't you tell him my address?" Yeah. And then the engineer is just like, "We won't tell anybody anything, Cody." And he's like, "Cody, eh?" Yeah. And then he just guns down the other guy too. Yeah. So he has no qualms murdering innocent people. But you see that he is, throughout the course of the film, he is a damaged man.
Very.
He has this very close relationship with his mom. His mom's the only person he trusts. Mm. He's surrounded by criminals. Big Ed, I guess, is his second in command. But you see from the get-go, Big Ed is
biding his time.
He's biding his time to take over. Yeah. And Verna was clearly out for herself too.
Yes, very much so.
And that's like the sort of theme of the main characters in Cody's. The only one that's kind of selfless about it is Cody's mom, who's just all about Cody. Right. And Cody loves his mom. But at the end of it all, they are vicious killers. It's kind of complex because there's a point in the film where you get to see like these character moments, and you kind of don't expect it from like a 1940s gangster movie.
Sure.
You don't really expect that sort of character depth from this type of movie. It's funny, but the good guy, Vic, he doesn't really have that much character depth.
No.
And he is the hero.
Right.
It's very strange. In a film today, if this was made today, they would definitely sort of like play up the relationship between Vic and Cody and how they basically become close. And you've seen that sort of trope in a lot of movies.
Sure.
A lot of films where the cop is undercover and he's infiltrating the criminal gang, and his way in is sort of becoming a brother or a family member to this criminal chief.
Yeah.
And here we have, this is probably
the precursor to all of that.
Yeah, this is like the precursor to all of this. This is the seed that sparked that genre of crime drama,
or
the undercover, the undercover cop. And it's funny that of the two characters, you're feeling kind of sympathy for Cody.
Right, who's the criminal?
He's insane.
Yes, that ending.
He's insane. The ending is a classic ending. Everybody must see it. You've probably have seen it referenced so much.
So many times, yeah.
Top of the world. We made it, Ma. Top of the world. I love that. Seriously, if you're a bad guy in a movie, this is how you want to go out.
Yes.
Nothing quiet, nothing subtle. You're going down and you're taking a huge amount of real estate with you.
Yes. Yes.
And laughing the entire time.
Yes, like a maniac.
Like a maniac. It was to me, it was sort of like almost like Joker-esque.
Kind of.
The way Vic is just like, how's he still standing? He's like shooting him with a high-powered rifle, and he's like, what's keeping him up?
Yeah.
And Cody's just like, hey, we made it, Ma. Top of the world.
Yeah. I mean, this is a classic. Yeah, absolutely.
I love a lot of the lines in this movie.
Yeah, yeah.
You got a medal? Solid gold.
Do you remember the first time you saw this?
It was a long time ago. I remember I think I watched it with my friend Mike. I think it was when we were in college in Boston, and for some reason it was just on TV, and we just watched it and we were like, this is the greatest. And it really is James Cagney. James Cagney, the faces he's making, he's like gritting his teeth and sticking his jaw out.
And his eyes are just
maniacal.
manic.
Yeah.
Manic.
And he is genuinely he's probably the shortest guy in that room.
But
you don't want to mess with him. He is gonna
end you.
He's gonna end your life. He's gonna end his girlfriend's life. He's gonna end everybody. If you don't,
girlfriend, that was his wife.
Oh, his wife. Yeah.
Still,
seriously,
he didn't care.
Don't talk back to his mother.
Yeah.
Yeah. You better help Ma in the kitchen. Get it yourself, my mind, your servant or someone.
Yeah.
He yells at Big Ed. Yeah. And it's funny how they pick a guy like Big Ed. Big Ed was like a foot taller than him.
Yeah. But still, like,
everybody was just terrified.
Yeah. Yeah. Didn't hold a candle to Cagney. He had such presence. It's kind of funny. I think recently TCM played Midnight Summer's Dream, where he plays, I believe, the character of Puck. So it's kind of funny to see Cagney in that kind of role where it's more comedic. I mean, he had done comedy and other things, but he's known as the gangster. Like, that is his calling card. I think that a lot of the films that he starred in, he plays that character, and he does it so exquisitely. Yeah. He really does.
Yeah. The thing that's funny is I remember reading that was his least favorite type of role.
Oh, I can imagine.
It became like iconic with him.
Yeah.
Playing these like tough guys.
Yeah, yeah.
Apparently his favorite role was Yankee Doodle Dandy.
Yeah, James M. McCoy.
Singing and dancing.
Well, it's funny that you said that. I think thank you for bringing that up. I encourage everyone that is still paying for cable to get on the TCM app, because I feel like not all the movies, certainly not Demon Lover, but but some of these other movies, they'll do bumpers and they'll do like a little intro. And this one had a exit interview with filmmaker Allison Anders and Alicia Malone, who's one of the TCM hosts. And it was really interesting because you get a little bit more background. And they mention that. They mention how he's a dancer by trade. I guess he grew up in vaudeville and all that other stuff. He was born in 1899. So it's like he's coming up the ranks at this time where this is going on. And he's a trained dancer. And they were saying how even in the film, when you're watching his movements, he has the movements of a dancer. And I really didn't understand that until I started watching the film. So I have to admit, I'd heard about this film many times. It was one of those things where I wanted to see it, but I didn't really go out of my way. I probably could have seen it sooner. I don't think I have ever watched it. Like, I've seen clips, I've seen the Top of the World thing, but I don't think I actually saw it from start to finish until I sat down with you. Mm-hmm. And it was fairly recently, actually, I think within the last 5 years, where I actually sat and watched that movie. And I was so terribly impressed with it. And I still am. And I'm so happy that it was on the app and that we got to watch it. And one of the other things I kind of wanted to highlight was, I believe Allison Anders says, it moves very quickly. And that's another thing that really, it's funny. The first time I watched it, I watched it with like fresh eyes and just so much interest because it is a very compelling story. And you don't realize like an hour and 50 minutes that's kind of a long time for 1949 audiences, or any kind of audience, right? But
especially for this genre of movie. I mean,
right.
they had like the big spectacles, like chariots and Jesus and stuff.
And right.
But this was a gangster movie. Usually those were
crime drama.
They weren't very long. It was just
it would be like an hour and a half, maybe at most.
Bunch of Tommy guns and people dying, and that's it.
Right. And so to see something like this, but it was really well done because even though there's all this like story building, like it's done in such an interesting way because you do sort of have exposition, but it's not obvious exposition, but it's also in service to move the story along. And I think that from start to finish here, there's so much story that happens and there's so much that you're, as the audience, that you're privy to in the storytelling. And I think that makes it even more impactful because you really develop empathy and compassion for this character. You develop it through the journey with this character and his newfound relationship with the Vic character played by Edmond O'Brien. And it's interesting because it could have been silly, it could have been stupid, it could have been half-assed, but it's not. Everything that happens here, at least to me, felt very intentional and it felt very in service to the story.
Yeah.
So that even though sometimes we talk about things being vague and not being shown or explained, so I'm just going to spoil it because this is an older film, but you come to find out that Cody's mom is dead. And that scene is very impactful because he has a meltdown about it, as obviously you would. The woman that gave birth to you, that loved you, the first face of love that you knew, the only person on this planet that you trusted is now no longer here. So,
you know what it sort of reminded me of? Mystic River. His same thing. He's carried out by all those people, the guys holding his arms, his legs. Yeah. They're carrying, and he's just
it
wailing.
Takes like 12 cops to move him.
He is wailing.
Yeah.
And it was the same in that. It was like, I wonder if that film had some sort of inspiration from
that
scene of Cody being dragged out of the cafeteria because he completely loses his mind when he finds out that his mom dies.
Dead. Yeah. And it's even more impactful when he speaks to Verna, the Virginia Mayo character, who then tells him that she got shot in the back. And you see, like, that's the other, say what you want, but Cagney is just one of, especially in this moment in time, one of the most amazing actors, because to convey something with just a facial expression, that's a gift. Not everyone has that capability. And just his, like I think you mentioned before, his facial expressions. I mean, 1 minute he's like a deer in a headlights, kind of sad, sort of lost puppy thing. And then in the other, he's just this maniacal monster who's out to burn the world, right?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
So
and it's funny, especially with like especially with Verna, because there are times when it's just like he's like tender with her, and then at other times he's just
brutish and
absolutely controlling. You could see why she's absolutely terrified of her. And there's that point he's gonna touch her cheek and she flinches. So you know this guy he's an animal.
Yeah, he walks that line. Yeah. So it's like you don't know what you're getting.
Don't know what exactly. You don't know what Cody you're gonna get at any moment of the day, because other times he's fine and we're all gonna go on vacation together and it's gonna be great and hop on, grab the brass ring and everything seems fine, and then it's just terrifying. And you can see why she's looking for the exit at all times. Like, I'll get him out of here if you go easy on me. And he's like, no deal.
She was willing to sell him out to that copper at the end, man. She didn't care. So getting back to the thing that I wanted to say was that, so I hadn't seen this until fairly recently, and I was floored because, again, and I think we mentioned this with Some Like It Hot, so I'm even more excited about pairing these two movies now because, again, Some Like It Hot was 1959. The story still holds up. This 1949.
Yeah.
So it's even older and just still really tight storytelling, really great action sequences, amazing performances by everybody. I mean, even like the guy at the end that's driving the truck that kind of makes Fallon, right? Like even those characters that don't have a lot of screen time. In the beginning, the guy with the bandages, you feel sympathy for Cotton, right? Because Cotton's trying to be a good guy. He's like, oh, I'm going to try and come back for you. And he never does. So maybe that was lip service. Who knew? But then at the end, he accidentally gets shot by Cody, right?
Yeah.
So like, and even the mother, even though she's obviously deranged as well, but you feel
she'll do anything for her boy.
For her
and
boy.
She's actually making sure he still gets his cut.
Yeah.
Even though he's in prison.
Yeah.
And that's like another thing. Like you said, there is a lot going on in this film because it's like there's three parts. There's the first robbery, there's him in prison, and then there's the second heist and the lead up to that. And you never feel like you're twiddling your thumbs or anything.
No, it's
and there's a lot where it's just them talking and setting things up.
But still so expertly crafted.
Yeah, excellently done. And it's all really held into place by Cagney's performance.
Yeah, just amazingly done. I mean, it's so impressive to me because it's like this is now 1949. He is about 48 years old. So he's getting up there, but he is turning out some of his best work here. It's just so magical to watch. I'm completely lost in that story. I'm not bored. I'm not looking at my phone. I'm not looking at the clock. I am completely invested in Cody Jarret's journey. And it's funny because I've seen this, and it's funny because I think Alicia Malone said this in the beginning of the film. Like, you're watching it and you're like, oh no. But it's like, I've seen this before. I know how this is going to end. And yet I'm still so like, oh my goodness, what's happening? And it's like, come on now. You know what's happening. You know what's going to happen. But again, it's
the mark of a good story.
mark of really great storytelling.
Yeah.
Yeah. Everything about this is magical. The set pieces, the design work, all that stuff filmed outside, amazingly done.
And the performances.
And the performances really propel us over the top. I mean, I have no notes here. None. I mean, if I'm going to give this, I don't know. I feel like this is a 10. Like, what could have made this better? Nothing. There's no lag. There's nothing to critique here as far as I'm concerned.
If I were going to make any kind of adjustment to it, it would probably be to make Vic maybe a little bit more conflicted based upon his...
Maybe. I could see.
Like his relation, because he's just like all business.
Yeah.
He's like, I'm gonna earn this guy's trust, and then I'm just gonna betray him.
Right.
And
he doesn't really.
He does.
Yeah. He doesn't really stray from that.
He doesn't stray from it. He guns him down.
Yeah.
I feel like Vic's character could have had a little bit more
nuance
of conflict or a character arc or something. To me, he felt a little bit too straightforward.
Yeah, yeah.
But that doesn't take away from the movie because, like I said, you are invested in Cody. Cody is he's the engine on which this film runs.
Yeah, absolutely.
I would give it a 9.
Yeah, yeah. I'd be curious. You know, we've been mentioning this lately. Like, it's funny the things that get championed for remakes or reboots or whatever you want to call it. I would love to see someone, don't know who, I haven't really thought about it, but I would love to see a director that's good at telling stories take this and put it in a modern setting and see
this could
how
absolutely work. Like I mentioned before, this is the seed on which all of those other films where the undercover cop has to get close to the criminal.
Right. Yeah, we were talking about this when the film ended. You see it in The Raid 2. You see it in Training Day. You see it in Departed. Yeah, I mean, this is the precursor to so much of that kind of storytelling. But this is so clean and just so sharp and just so well done. And again, I agree with you 1,000%. The performances propel this to a different stratosphere. And that, to me, is what makes this a 10. I think while the story is good and everything, I think that the thing that bumps it up is absolutely Cagney. He may have hated playing gangsters, but he did it so well. He really did.
Yeah. Especially Cody Jarret.
Yeah. I can't imagine another actor doing this film.
No.
Sometimes you'll read articles about like, oh, this originally they wanted this actor for this film, or they wanted this actor, but it wound up being this other actor. And it's funny to contemplate what those roles, especially iconic roles like this, what those roles would have been like in the hands of other actors. But I think from start to finish, Cagney, I am completely invested, and I completely believe the story coming from Cagney's lips. There is no doubt in my mind that he is Cody Jarret.
Yeah.
Yeah. Any other thoughts before we wrap it up?
No, just if you haven't seen White Heat, go see it.
Yeah.
It's really good. This is a classic. This is an iconic performance.
Yeah.
Yeah, as they say, solid gold.
Solid gold.
Top of the world.
Top of the world. We made it, Ma. Top of the world. This is unfortunately going away tomorrow off the Turner app. So
I'm sure it could be found elsewhere.
I'm sure it will return at some point, but it is currently playing on Tubi. However, that is with commercials, but you can also rent it on Prime. It was nice to watch this from start to finish without interruption because, again, it is a longer film, but it moves at such a great pace.
Yeah.
Like, you don't feel like you're sitting there for 2 hours.
No.
Yeah. All right, so you gave it a 9. I gave it a 10. Absolutely. Get on over to whatever streamer you have, whether it's Tubi or to rent it on Prime Video, and check out 1949's classic from Raoul Walsh, White Heat, with the just indisputable champ of gangster roles.
Psychotic gangsters.
Psychotic gangster roles, Mr. James Cagney. That's it from us, and we will bid you all a
good night.
Good night.